Hey guys, it's Sam, and since last time I had quite a few requests to share some stories and tips on being an on-set visual effects supervisor or just being a visual effects supervisor in general. And I wanted to share with you what I think is the single most important aspect of it, which to be honest is also the nastiest and most nightmarish point of it. And that is being able to take a very complicated shot, a visual effects shot, and anticipating everything in advance. And in the worst case, I've seen a VFX supervisor really misjudge this, and they misjudged it so bad that they went and bankrupted the whole production. Everyone went unpaid and the guy had to leave the country. So hopefully this advice will help you. By the way, this is part 1 of 3 of a series of advice videos, so make sure you watch the next 2. Let's take an example of an actor on a motorbike and they want to be driving along maybe 100 miles an hour down a road with no helmet, long hair. Let's say we want to go and film this because it's the safest way and probably the most effective overall to film this in a virtual production studio. Let's say you've got a really nice setup like the studio at Film Soho. You've got a nice Simplates plate where you can loop it and it's seamless all the way around. That's great. So the light on the actor is going to be great, but we need some kind of wind, right? Wind blowing the hair, wind blowing the clothes. If you are not that well prepared in the production meeting, as a visual effects supervisor, I would say, yeah, let's go and get a wind machine. And then that's it, not go into any more detail. Now, I guarantee what will happen is that the production will go and get one of those little 40 pounds a day wind machines. And on the rental website, it says ultra power, ultra powerful. And it's not ultra powerful because how powerful can a little fan be? If the rotor diameter is only that big, how much is it going to be? Now, it might be that if you turn it on in your face, it's a lot, but by the time you've moved that wind machine back from the actor, enough space for all the action to happen, space for the camera crew to get involved, that little fan is going to have the blowing power of a chain smoker with severe asthma blowing through a little tube. It's just not going to work. And so it's up to us to really anticipate this. Remember, don't give failure a chance, anticipate everything and say, look, we need a big rotor with at least a diameter of 2 meters, a huge wind machine, the kind of wind machine that has its own trailer. And we can always turn it down, but we can't turn a little fan up past its maximum, and that will be effective. Now, the production will say, well, that's quite expensive, isn't it? And, come and have a little go with this. And what will happen is you get there on the day, the actor will be there, full makeup, wardrobe, the whole camera crew is there. You turn on this little fan, you will find out, oh, we've got to move it back and back and back to get all the action in terms of like the camera crew and all that kind of thing. And then it just doesn't even move the hair or the clothes. Definitely not to go 100 miles an hour. It looks rubbish. And here's the thing. I found that even though it might be beyond the purview of visual effects to go for a fan, because that's more like a special effects thing, isn't it? From my experience, it just doesn't happen unless we specify it. Think about any good machine. Any good machine with like cogs and gears, there's got to be some overlap between every department to make things work. So although I'm visual effects, I need an overlap with special effects, art department, costume, makeup, production, camera department. You always need some overlap with every other department so you can make sure that your part works flawlessly. Another super clear black and white way of getting the production to spend money up front is to attach costs to things. Do you want to spend £500 on a wind machine for a day, or do you want to spend £50,000 adding CGI blowing hair in? When you say it like that, it becomes very obvious. It's not even worth taking a chance, is it? And here's the nightmarish thing that I wanted to get to. If you are working for a particularly merciless production company, they might say, we turn up the little fan and then it doesn't work. They might put it on me and say, oh, hang on, Sam. Why didn't you anticipate this? This is like a visual effects shot. We could have filmed this out on the road when we got the wind for free because you said we had to be in a virtual production studio. Why didn't you say that we need a really big fan? Why, instead of just spending £500 a day on a fan, and that can save us £50,000? You can't just throw it in. You know what, Sam? We're not paying this. You've got to swallow it. So that right there is a nightmare. In the beginning of this, I said there was a bit of a nightmare project where one visual effects supervisor bankrupted a whole production. There was a green screen production where everything was green screen. We're going to match move everything. And he's a kind of VFX supervisor. Although he's very smart, he said, oh, I can do that for half the price. And that's why he won the project. And then when I went on there, because I was helping him set up the green screen just for a day, and he said, Sam, do you know anyone who can do match moving like really well for really cheap. And I said, well, I mean, I can recommend people from some of the places I've been at, like Cinesite and those places. They're good. They can work fast, but they'll charge a good amount. I said, no, I need it cheaper than that. I know some really talented people in India. Why don't you go that? They have lower living expenses, so they can give a lower price and still offer excellent work. And he said, no, not even they're too expensive. It's like, and what happened was they went and filmed everything. They could nowhere near afford the match moving on this visual effect, and the whole project could not be completed. This production put everything into it. Their investors all pulled out and nobody got paid. That's not just the visual effects people, that's the actors, the camera department, everyone's part of this project. It was just after coronavirus as well, so this was the first job that a lot of people had. And I would not want to be that VFX supervisor. I mean, I can appreciate the difficulties of trying to anticipate all this stuff. It's how much can you guess? But really, that's a nightmare situation, isn't it? And you don't want to do that. So it's on you to realistically understand how much do things realistically cost. Yes, we can save money in smart ways, but we're not going to save it in sweatshop ways where we just work harder for the same amount of money. In short, to put it all as one tip, I found the best way to think about this is, even if you're on like a huge production, think of this shot that you've got to do like you're making a little short film with you and your friends. And everyone's got like a lot of overlapping roles. So I'm VFX, I'd help carry the cables and the lights and all that kind of thing. We'll go up the mountain together, that kind of thing. We'll just kind of pitch in like a load of friends together. What would we realistically need to make sure that this shot just works? With all the problems and all the variables in the real world, what do we need just to make sure that this shot works? Don't give failure a chance. Be specific, give numbers, give details, give specifics. It's like if you're going to go meet up with your friends. If you say, oh, let's meet up, yeah, let's do it. Maybe it doesn't happen. But if you say, let's meet up on Saturday at 3 p.m. at this coffee shop, then it's going to happen, isn't it? Do that. Don't give failure a chance, and then you can avoid the nightmare.